Welcome to Bible Over Brews, deep thoughts fermented over time and text. I'm your host, Kru Juice. We've got Gumby.
Hey, what's up?
We've got Kelvin.
Good evening.
And George.
Yo, wearing my glasses so I look like a total douche.
And we are all co-hosts for you here, Bible Over Brews. Tonight, Skeptics Corner.
Dun dun dun.
The night where George has full control.
Full control of everything.
We are in trouble.
I'm bringing it. Usually I'm the one that doesn't know what everyone's talking about. You guys don't know what I'm bringing to the table tonight, so I'm bringing some heat.
Rockstar.
Suspense.
I know. Gosh, I'm already in love with Calvin's buttery, sexy Morgan Freeman voice. I just want to agree. Like, whatever he says to me right now, I'm just being like, yeah. Say it again. Tell me. That's so.
Kelvin's got that voice. He's like half Barry White, half Morgan Freeman.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. The rest of us are like, hey guys, how you doing?
What's that movie that Morgan Freeman plays God in?
No. Bruce.
Jim Carrey, Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
That's a great movie. Evan Almighty wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It was good, though.
It was all right. Yeah,
both.
it was good. It was all right. I mean, Jim Carrey was still in his heyday.
Oh, he was.
Bringing some heat.
That was before he went crazy.
But anywho.
Wait.
Well.
We are starting.
Oh, geez. Good call. Thank you.
Come on. It's Bible Over Brews.
Not Bible, get into it and yell at people.
Right. So, we are starting with Working Class Brewery. We've a Lifeguard Mango Blonde American Style aged on juice. This is wrong. I grabbed the wrong one. Okay. This is their peanut butter porter. It is also an ABV of 45 though. But this is their peanut butter porter. It is their most popular export, and I had it when I was watching my wife sing karaoke the other night.
What?
Oh yeah. Oh, my wife's amazing.
She does.
I'll show you
know
videos.
she could, yeah.
Her pipes are fantastic.
Where was this at?
It's inappropriate.
We're-
Bible show. What are you talking
that's
about,
true.
Juice?
Working Class Brewery. Working Class Brewery.
And you guys are worried about what I say on
At
here.
least be 13 and over to listen to this.
May not be suitable for children under 13.
Let's pass these suckers around. Here you go, Kelvin and George. There's yours. I'm gonna pop this one over for Gumby and I. And right away, you're gonna notice this is a very dark porter.
Can we do something really quick?
Yes.
Juice, can you say working class brewery like you just said it?
Working Class Brewery.
Calvin, can you say working class brewery?
Working Class Brewery.
There's no.
There's no comparison.
There's no comparison.
No,
It's
no,
like
not at all.
God.
No.
And Job.
Yeah, you need to get some voiceover work, man.
I'm telling you. Are you kidding? I'm not even.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, wait till start. If he busts out Anthony Hopkins, that can rival.
Oh, man.
That can rival.
That may not happen tonight. I have no notes.
Okay, all right.
Oh, nothing English or old fashioned
yeah,
say. Let's
yeah.
bring it. All right, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right.
Oh, right before I even sip that, that's
Yeah, I'm smelling it first.
oh, that's amazing. The nose off of that is just fantastic.
You said this is their best selling?
This is their best selling one. Yeah, I like it.
Oh.
Now, right from the start, it's not as heavy as other people's peanut butter porters because we've featured what I think 2 or 3
Brewcos.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Willoughby. And we had another one here too. Oh, is it Platforms?
Yeah,
or-
Platform has something similar.
This might be my favorite one, actually. Is this
Yeah.
Ohio or what is this?
This one's Working Class.
Is it in Ohio or?
Oh, yeah, it's right over on Cam's Corner.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
You remember when we were in, where is that? Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
For the opening of a judo school or Muay Thai school.
Oh, yeah.
And that restaurant we went to,
That
they had
was-
yeah.
Excellent.
But it wasn't a porter though, was it? It was a lighter.
So you make a very good recollection.
It's peanut butter.
It was with JD.
It was not a
It was over
porter.
by JD's house. What they did was
That's right. You know,
they
JD.
actually combined a peanut butter, I think it was lager with a chocolate porter, and they pour them together for you.
Okay,
That's
right.
awesome.
That's what that
Yeah,
was. Right,
nice.
right,
Yeah.
right.
What's the one on
That
East
was
Bacon
excellent.
Flats? Is it Mass? No, maybe it's not.
There's a
Mass.
couple over there. Collision Bed is my favorite over there.
Yeah, that is a good one. No,
That's
there's the one.
amazing.
Dang it! But they do that. They have like
uh,
I don't know if it's Fatheads.
no. There's one. Is it Brew Dog? No, not Brew Dog.
Yeah, I was saying I thought it was a dog.
it's a dog. It's a dog.
But-
But 12 dogs, right? No,
It-
Is it 12 dogs. Oh shoot.
I'm frustrated, but yeah, no, they actually have a portion of their menu where there's like 4 or 5 concoctions where
Oh.
you mix it's like a peanut butter and a banana beer,
Oh,
or like
The
a
Elvis?
blueberry and like
Like
a
the Elvis?
vanilla, and it's delicious and it's awesome. But yeah, they'll mix the 2 beers together for you.
This
Make
is
a little
right up my alley. man.
beer
Because-
cocktail,
A
if you
banana
will.
beer.
that's what I would do if I had.
There's a couple really good banana beers out there. Actually, it fares well with beer, I think.
Really?
If I could combine a peanut butter with a banana, I would just call it the Elvis
Why is that?
because he loved peanut butter and banana sandwiches.
I didn't know that. Well, why are you yelling at me like I was supposed to know that?
Because you're supposed
You're
to
like,
know that.
I feel
Peanut-
like it's
peanut
like I
butter
didn't
and
know.
banana sandwiches.
Oh, he loved those. Yeah, he
You
was
didn't know
famous
that?
for them.
I'm sorry.
It's like I feel like you.
Am I the only history buff in the world?
Well, let me say this.
Yeah, like I didn't know George Washington was the first president of the United States or something. You're like offended.
I mean,
You're like,
technically, we won't go there. I was gonna say
Gumby, did you know that?
there was a large time right there where there's who was the first president. They were vying back and forth and fighting over it. And
Ashtabula had
Remember
that. Ashtabula had that museum.
yes,
It
Yeah.
was like 5 minutes from my old house. Yeah.
yeah, they were fighting over who was going to be the president, and then one said he was the first, and the other said he was the first. Oh yeah, it was-
Really?
Oh, it was a big thing. Oh yeah.
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 There were- I know. I was aware that there was controversy over it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, from what I understand, I always thought there was like a stand-in before their first election was.
Yeah.
That's how I
And you
thought
are
it was.
Correct.
That's
Yeah, you are correct. Yeah.
So before there was the official first election, from what my memory
Yeah.
was, there was like one
It
person.
was a bad time in history.
Yeah, whatever.
My people weren't even here yet, so. Oh, we weren't. I'm only third generation. We weren't here until I think the 1920s or something.
Get out.
Right?
Get it. Beat it.
No, I thought there was a whole series of presidents under the Articles of Confederation versus the Constitution.
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe I'm learning
I
more.
believe you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
And I thought George Washington was the first under the Constitution. Once everything
Yes.
was ratified.
That would make
He's-
sense.
he's
I,
correct.
Again, I don't
Yes.
know a ton about it. I just know there was something going on before the first official election with the Constitution. So that could be,
Yeah.
yeah. So I concede,
Nice pun. Nice.
It's a great start to the episode.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm not going to concede to? Some of these
Endgame?
brain busters. That's true. Endgame. But we don't want to do spoilers. We don't want to upset.
We
any
don't wanna
fans,
do
and They
spoilers.
might drive to your house and like
Yeah,
murder
they
you.
don't. No. Let's just say that there are things that George and I, we actually love the movie. George and I will completely agree that we loved the movie. It was amazing.
Avengers.
If you have not seen Endgame, there's something wrong with you. Go out and see it right now.
Agreed. I know. I'm like talking to friends like Pete hasn't seen it yet. I'm like, what are you doing, you
How did-
weirdo? Yeah,
Pete, seriously.
100%.
Because it really is probably the best superhero movie to date. I will say that.
I'm
I
gonna
will
go ahead and say it.
Yeah, that's a heck of a statement.
Yeah.
I'm
It's,
gonna go ahead and say it.
when grown men come to tears 2 to 3 times during the film, you know it's a very well done film. All right?
Wow.
So it's a very, very well done film.
Yeah.
But George and I will also agree that there's certain aspects of it that just don't work.
Right. Right. I don't think it'd be too much of a spoiler if maybe it would. Yeah, I'm just not.
I don't
Gonna go.
think
I'm
so.
just not even gonna go there. I'd
Okay.
rather just not
Well-
upset
well-
anybody.
Yeah, because
For-
me and Kelvin
here,
haven't seen it.
For no spoiler alert, the science behind the movie is not copacetic with what we know for science.
Like for example, I was really upset when Thor was shooting lightning. I'm like, that's not physically possible.
What's not quite what we were talking
I'm like,
about.
I get it. Yeah.
saw it in Star Wars.
George is trying to be very spoiler free, but
Yeah.
there's the science behind it just doesn't work. Don't let that take away from the movie. The movie was amazing.
Right. So, making a segue into what we're going to talk about, I just find it interesting that Juice is into the science perspective, but at the same time, he's a devout Catholic, which makes zero sense in my mind. But let's go ahead. So anyway, Juice, let's talk about that for a second. Right? You and your family are now officially accepted into the Catholic Church.
It's true. It's
So,
true. Over this last...
Keep your sons away from the pastures. Right off the rip. Right off the rip, baby. Woo! I was doing those shots. I'm just coming out ready.
Where are those boxing
I wish
gloves
conservative
at?
Mike was here. God, I wish Mike was here so bad. I'm so ready.
Ding, ding, ding.
Someone get him on the phone. Buzz him in.
Right. FaceTime us, Mike, if you're listening.
Oh,
So,
man.
I will say this.
Brutal.
Okay, going on.
Take no prisoners.
That was like MMA. There was no
It
gloves.
really was.
there.
It was. There was
like
it
4-ounce
was-
gloves.
It was.
Oh, man.
It was right there. Yeah.
This gentleman's having flashbacks.
I was raised
So-
Catholic.
Let me say this. And
MMA fighting.
this is actually I'm technically a revert. So I was born into the Catholic Church, and I was baptized into the Catholic Church. I was never confirmed. In fact, as a teenager, I'm one of the only people in my family who was baptized into the Catholic Church. So I would take my grandmother to Mass on Sundays. But
For those who may be unaware, what does confirm mean?
oh, okay. So confirmed is when they bring you into the church and you are confirmed to be a practicing Catholic. At that point, you're also giving a confirmation name.
Yes.
All right.
You could pick George.
Okay. I'm not going to be mean, but I am a martial artist. And I searched, and my friend, actually, for Zechariah Pulma out there, he helped me. We searched for the best martial arts saint out there.
And who was that?
Saint Mercurius.
I thought you were going to say Chuck Norris. But
Unfortunately,
no,
he's
sorry.
not been canonized yet.
Okay.
But
He should be.
he should be. I agree. Saint Mercurius, during 250 AD, he was beheaded. But he and his family were converts into the faith. He ended up becoming a Roman soldier, fighting the Berbers during the time when they were trying to take over that part of the known world. And he was very well known for his adaptness and his cleverness during warfare and for combat. And so well known and so well looked upon by God himself that the Archangel Michael gave him a second sword. So he actually would fight with two swords,
Nice.
one that was given to him by humans and one that was given to him by the Archangel Michael.
Mm.
So I thought that was pretty doggone BA. So I had to pick him.
Understand?
Nice.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So what made your decision to go back to being or to continue your spiritual journey with confirming as a Catholic?
So believe it or not, it was a combination of two things. One was the Bible. I've gotten deeper and deeper and deeper into the Bible to the point where I was researching across Hebrew and Greek. So the Bible itself, there were certain aspects of it I could not ignore. And
I hear you.
Tell me about it.
And parts of that, once you start looking, and I, as Dr. Heiser has actually said, once you take the filters off of your eyes and you read it in its own historical context, in the language it's written in,
And you realize it's a bunch of Western.
no, I find it very hard to do anything but go Catholic.
Right? You're
Even,
like,
I mean,
it's clearly created by
and-
a man that's trying to make up for questions he doesn't know the answer to.
and I was going to go Eastern Orthodox, but other aspects of it rings very true. So there's parts of it you can't deny once you go into there. Like for example, Jesus Christ himself says that he's building the church on Peter, and as the Catholic Church will tell you, Peter is the first pope. So there's parts of it that I couldn't get past. So after going through all of that, and then the other part was, believe it or not, apologetics. constantly trying to defend the Bible. And I got to a point where, as a Protestant, I couldn't defend it anymore because I had several atheists that stepped up, and I realized they're not being mean. The atheists actually had honest questions, and the questions that they were posing were honest questions. And I realized when I...
Well, give me an example. Which one?
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, and then how's it different from with Catholicism?
Oh, for example, common descent.
Tell me you got this one. I don't know what he's talking about.
You should. Evolution.
Okay.
Common descent.
Oh, yeah.
So, and honestly, and there's many more, but I'll take that one because it's an easy illustration. So, under common descent, if you actually take the real scientific evidence, it's hard to deny. It's hard to deny that there actually is common descent. We share the same DNA with animals and plants as anything else that's living. So once you examine scientifically, and most Protestants will tell you that you have to suspend, belief in science, and you just have to have faith in the Bible. But it's not good enough for me. Because if you're just willing to step forward and say, well, I just don't believe that because the Bible says this, that says that either A, God is wrong, or B, we are wrong about how we're approaching the Bible. So that was one of the things that brought me forward on the Catholic side. The other side of it was also historical, again from apologetics, because once I applied the apologetic forums and answers from the patristic fathers, everything made sense. I mean, everything made sense. If I took the historic fathers and applied that to my apologetics, I had an answer for people every single time. If I applied modern Protestant answers, I had to completely deny either history or science. I couldn't do it anymore.
You still have to do that. Do you still believe in that person that woman that looked back at the city being burnt and she turned into salt? You believe in that? Right? Then you're disagreeing with science. Well, that didn't happen, Juice. Is that part of Catholicism?
Well,
no, don't, Juice. Listen. You're falling back on your own words. You're like, with Protestantism, you said you'd have to object to science or history.
Okay.
I just gave you an example. It's part of the Catholic story.
Okay. Well,
and you're saying what now?
Story.
You're going to go back on it because it's in the Bible.
So if you go right now to what is known as the place where that happened, which is right by the Dead Sea.
It never happened, Juice.
Which is right by the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea exists right now, correct? Okay.
I will say that, yes.
Okay. And the Dead Sea is predominantly full of what element?
Salt. Right.
Okay. Now, that is actually where it happened.
All right, but God didn't turn someone into salt, Juice. We're looking back at the damage he was creating.
Is there any life in the Dead Sea?
No.
All right. Is there any life surrounding
I should say that I'm not entirely sure, but I understand there's so much salt in it that, right, it's hard for
now,
to live. So,
that being said...
For any scientists that are listening are like, oh, well, there's this bacteria in there. But in general, there's no fish living in there because there's too much salt, right?
Correct.
If a frog jumps in there, it's going to die.
And it's so thick with salt that you will float right on top of it. I mean, it's amazingly full of
minerals.
Various salts and minerals, which is actually, I mean, think about it, there's tons of stuff you can mine there too. But, I mean, minerals, it's fantastic. But anyway.
I heard it's great for your skin.
I heard. Again, minerals.
They sell it at the mall.
This is from the Dead Sea. They should start that today. That's some evangelical churches.
There you go.
That'd be a great MLM.
Yeah, right?
Oh, they'd buy it by the truckload, man.
Gumby, I think we found our calling.
Maybe that's what we need to do that.
Buy it by the truckload.
Yeah, they would. That they
All right,
would.
continue.
Okay.
Why you believe God turned this woman into salt from looking at the disaster he created.
Believe it or not, there are pillars surrounding that lake. Now, I'm not going to say that any of them were existing at the time. I'm not going to say that they were her. However, because there are a number of pillars that are surrounding the Dead Sea, potentially that story could be echoed and could be true, and one of them could be her.
Oh, Lord, Juice? No, it can't be. You're denying science. That's your own reasoning. You're saying, like, there has to be a reason. There has to be science behind it. That's magic. Like...
Well, as Thor said, magic is science that we just don't understand yet.
Dang it, I fell right into that one, didn't I? We were talking about that before the show.
So let me ask this, though.
It's garbage, no.
The Catholic, I'm not sure what their position is, but do they necessarily accept everything in the Old Testament and or New as something that literally happened?
No.
Okay.
No. And again, this is where I applaud the Catholic Church. No. And this is why. Because if you look at it, and again, even when I was a Protestant, I had to start denying things because when you go into the Old Testament, you can't say that everything is literal. Okay?
Yeah.
For example,
I understand.
there's a whole classification of books in the Bible, a large classification. We're talking about Job and Psalms and Proverbs and Song of Songs. And there's a large classification in the Bible that are under, and both Jewish and Christians have that label on there where it says poeticals. Poeticals tells me it's not literal. Correct? All right. And then you have Genesis, which I don't care what evangelical says this. There's no way that all of Genesis or even all of the Torah was written by just Moses. There's no possible way because that means he wrote his own death in there. Sorry, didn't happen. So there were various authors behind the Torah. So again, you would also have different genres in the Torah because we know there's a psalm in there, right? Actually, I think there's 2 psalms in there. There's psalms in there, right? So if you have psalms inside of the Torah, that tells me that those sections are not literal. They're poetical. So, and then you have the first 11 chapters, which we know because we can look at the Akkadian and Sumerian and Ugaritic writings, and we can match them up, and we know that the first 11 chapters are polemical. So if they're polemical, that tells me they're not literal, right?
Okay, what is the Catholics' view on the Tower of Babylon?
That falls within those
It
polemics.
falls within that. Huh?
Yeah, that's in those 11 chapters. That's polemical.
Okay.
And believe it or not, here's the fun part, right? Here's the fun part. That story actually relates to Gilgamesh, the great story
really?
of Gilgamesh. Yeah,
Okay.
it's awesome.
Gosh, I wish conservative Mike was here right now so he could hear you say it's metaphorical.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
That would be taken as literal.
Dude, what? Literal?
Yeah. Now,
What are these? Hold on.
hold on.
Hold on, I think I'm interested in something. Tell me this crazy story you're interpreting as literal, and then I'd like to ask questions, please.
I was a little shocked by that one myself, George.
It says like Gummy reacted. You asked, Gummy reacted. I'm like, come on, let's go.
Let me back up on that a second. Okay. Literal does not mean that everything happened the way it's explained.
Oh, that's legalese talk. That's
So, well, for example,
What the heck? Yeah, what is this? The
Well, hold on.
2019 version or definition of literal, or are we going back to like when literal meant literal?
well, for example,
Literally, I ate
you-
an entire container of ice cream.
if you take St. Patrick for example, and how he drove all the snakes out of Ireland, right? Well, we know they're not literal snakes. We know what he's talking about. He's talking about the corruption. He's talking about the people that were causing all the problems. He wasn't actually talking about snakes, right? So, so there's things that are
I
echoing.
thought it was literally snakes,
No.
but like literal, like the actual literal meaning.
Yeah. So again, some things in Scripture are just like that. Some things in Scripture echo an intrinsic meaning or value.
Why does the Bible
not
use so
literal.
much metaphor?
Well,
Garbage way of
because
communicating.
we also use a lot of metaphor. Or are you telling me that George Washington literally cut down a cherry tree?
Yeah, but at least that. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, I was gonna follow my words, right? That's teaching a lesson. But like these are the words of God on how you're supposed to be living.
Right. Exactly.
There shouldn't be any interpretation. There shouldn't be multiple versions of the Bible. There should just be like, boom.
Oh, that's your idea. But
No.
what do we learn more
I'm
from?
saying, as a clear communicator, if a higher power is communicating to his beings,
What do we learn?
someone who's written SOPs, you have to be clear.
for
and
example,
concise
For
and
example,
I would think. What?
when Jesus Christ is talking to the crowd, and he says, if you have faith as of a mustard seed, you can tell this mountain to be up and be cast into the sea, and it will. He does not mean that literally. Okay? He does not mean that your faith will cast mountains. And what he's saying is you will overcome great problems in your life with great faith. Those mountains have to do with what's happening in your life. It's not a little mountain. It's the mountains that are in your life. It's the problems in your life. He's using a poetical polemic to illustrate something. It's allegorical. So he's not telling you something that is, it's hyperbole, right? So he's not telling you something that's literal. He's using hyperbole in order to illustrate a point.
That's fair. But again, this is supposed to be the direction for our life.
Right. And that's how we learn.
But
Us as humans.
I know, but even even the purpose of the show, we have multiple different points of view and interpretations of it. It's not clear. I'm saying it's garbage communication, leaving it up for interpretation like that.
To a point, I do agree with that. And here's the reason why I agree with that. Denominationalism.
Right? There's
Well, yeah.
a lot
When
of
does it
religions
start
are
and when does it end? And
Exactly.
how far does it keep going?
Is that the way to draw those in who they're not yet astute, but they're seeking?
So remember how there's things that drew me into the Catholic Church?
Right.
I think you mentioned that.
One of those things that drew me in was the magisterium. And when was that set up? That was actually set up by Jesus Christ and the apostles when it first started. Okay? The first magisterium was the 12 apostles.
Okay.
So as that went forward, the apostles then had their bishops that they set up. In fact, it's so beautiful. It's an unbroken record from their time to now. And we have their writings all the way from their time to now. And if you look at the magisterium, that's one of the things that kind of sells me on historic Christianity, is that the magisterium is always there throughout history to tell you how to accurately interpret Scripture.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, that's why the Catholic Church has often told you, well, if you look at this in Hebrew, this is poetical. If you look at this in Hebrew, this is a polemic. If you look at this, so they're always there in the background. And it's nice to know, and mind you, and they will fully admit to you that whenever they are wrong or don't understand it. And they're very open about that. I find that very refreshing too. But it's very nice to know that you have that teaching behind it and you have a source to go to that is so deep into the text of the Bible and to the text of history. So
as a basis for Christianity, I can see that for sure. Going back into the Old Testament, that's where for me things get very fragmented because there's a lot more stories there, to George's point, that are way more, I don't know if outlandish is the right word, just really big.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really big.
Outlandish is a pretty good word.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
And
you need quite a bit of faith to really accept those stories.
I agree.
But as a child, you're taught to accept them literally.
Yes.
Within
that faith.
within that faith, right.
From a denominational standpoint.
Juice.
Yeah, that may be, but on the same token,
now
it leaves. I think it leaves, at least for me, it left some kind of vague thoughts there.
Sure.
What? Okay, and then I also felt that if you question it too much, you're kind of considered an outcast.
Well, you could be.
Yeah, the way we grew up.
You could be, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially the more charismatic you get, the more legalistic it is, and the more you need to accept things at blind faith.
But George, would it be easier to accept any of the Old Testament or the idea of it? Let me say this. Let me try to word this correctly. What if it was never meant for us? What if it was just meant for those people at that time, to them, how they understood it?
Very good point. Very good point.
Very good point.
Then we could see it more symbolic. They could choose to see it however they want it,
No, I like. That's a great question. And I don't know if I'm dodging the question or if I'm asking another question, but I've always said this, that I would be more accepting of the Bible if instead of it being backwards and us trying to dig in and try to understand, I think it'd be more believable if it was written in a way we were coming to understand it. Like it was almost like from the future, like we can't understand it yet because we're not there.
Yeah.
Like we're looking forward for the answer instead of trying to dig deep and put ourselves, like, for example, like about slaves. Like Juice is always trying to say they're not talking about slaves. Back then their slaves were employees.
Well, and that's a little out.
What?
That's a little contextually inaccurate.
That's you. That's not me. You said that.
No.
But I'm just saying, like, we're always trying to go back and interpret how they were reviewing it then. And I'm just saying, I always thought it'd be more interesting or more compelling if it was written in a futuristic point of view when we were trying to understand it and uncover it. And like, as things come, as life comes to us, we start to understand, like, oh, that's what Jesus and God was talking about, because here it is. Here's this Holocaust he was talking about. Here it is. Wow, this all makes sense. This is opening all these doors now, but it's not. It's always talking about like from this past contextual point of view that we're trying to interpret from back then. So, did I answer it or no? Did I just go somewhere else?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that helps me. I mean, sometimes, I've all but written off the Old Testament, honestly, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I started with that, and I'm just like, what the is this dude talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
and so if for me, if I just accept, there weren't Christians back then. There were no Christians back in the Old Testament. Some could even argue that there weren't even Jews until
Abraham.
Well, not until what, Judah?
Oh,
or who had his son that was named and whose name was changed to Israel. Israelites, Judah, I don't necessarily view it as something that was meant to be written for me.
Interesting.
I kind of, when I look back at it, honestly, I kind of view the Torah as their national god, as the other areas around that time had their national gods, and they were all competing for who had the biggest, baddest national god.
But that's what a polemic is.
Yeah. So, because there were a lot of others, especially around the Mesopotamia area and that whole crescent that had similar stories.
Yeah.
Flood stories, creation stories, Moses stories.
Yeah.
Got a question then, just based on how you're presenting this.
Yeah.
And other things that we've just discussed. Why is it set up, in your youth? If you have a question, you're not being rude or disrespectful in your presentation. You're a seeker, or you're attempting to be one.
Yeah.
They're trying to get you to buy in right away, so then you're right. I'm just saying that's. I watch a lot on Scientology, and they get you hooked right away as you're younger, and that way you don't Because you talk about the Scientology with us now as like smart, intelligent human beings. We're like, what? Like this guy is like broke the record for most fiction written, and you mean to tell me he wrote a Bible and we're supposed to believe in this? But like, right? So he got some people and now their
path,
kids, right? Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go a different route.
Yeah, and so if you watch it, like a lot of people that are in it and are having a lot of consequences, they get them while they're young, and they get them to accept that. They tell them, don't ask questions, just accept it and just go with it, and then they get buy in as believers.
I can see what you're saying, but again, that's from a denominational standpoint.
A lot of people get their kids, especially Catholics, right? They're baptized as babies, and then they're told, through their parents.
That's different.
What are you talking about? I was raised Catholic. I was baptized as a baby.
So
what are you talking about? That's different.
Because that's actually the real
Catholicism.
That's the real tradition. If you go back into the Bible, when Paul baptized, he baptized everybody in the family. He baptized.
I'm not saying it doesn't make it
father,
right.
Mother, children, all the servants in the household. They were all of them.
Well, going back on what Calvin was saying, though, he's like, why, as children, you're kind of brought up to not question and that.
And you're
whole route.
seeking. You're not
You're
trying
seeking.
to judge.
But that's different than so in the historical church.
Why not teach your
It's
kids
been
to
taught that
find
it's
your own
okay to
path?
ask questions.
What's that?
In the traditional churches, it's been,
Not Catholicism. I was raised in that. I will throw it out there, Juice.
I was
100%. I made it. Listen, that's one area, right? I don't have a lot of experience, but I'm saying I made it through PSR classes until I was in middle school. So I'm saying that's fresh in my memory. Like I made it that far. So
I literally-
100%. I'm disagreeing with you.
I literally just went through our CIA, and every single time I had a question that he didn't know, he said, "You know what? I don't know, but I'll try to find the answer for you."
But I'm gonna go ahead and agree with Calvin that I think it's a matter of don't blind faith. Believe in this. This is it. They didn't want me traveling to other religions. They didn't want me reading other artifacts. As a kid, that's what he's talking about. He's talking about as children. Why is it that you're kind of pushed in this area?
And George, taking it a step further, you're Catholic. I'm raised Pentecostal, but that same concept,
Right? And I still think it goes back to what I said about Scientology, because they
same
suck you in early
concept,
before you learn to think about yourself. Before you're still learning about life and becoming a person. Like, of course, it's easier to accept those ideas and just accept them as being true, right? Instead of expanding your mind. It's not until you're older till you really start to break through and start questioning things. So they get you sucked in early, Juice.
Who came up with the Big Bang Theory?
No idea.
A Catholic monk. There's a Catholic monk that came up with the Big Bang Theory.
Well, I think to their point, even outside of religious institutions, all of humanity tends to do that in one way or another. If you're a parent, you raise your kids.
Yeah, I guess you got a point there.
From they're young.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what?
Right.
I don't want my kids to go out hurting anyone. I don't want them murdering anyone. I don't want them, X, Y, and Z. Whatever your values are, even if you never stepped foot in a church, you want them while they're young,
still have
so
structure,
so that they grow up and they have certain expectations on how to cope. And
You're gonna go to hell.
if they don't have that parental structure in some
Gotta go
sense,
blind.
well, yeah, some people use that, yeah, but some people don't. But if you don't, whatever it is, if they don't start while they're young, they're going to find out the hard way that people don't like it when you kill them. Like some people don't want to see you walking around naked. Some people do. But I teach my kids to wear clothes. You know what I mean? So it happens in the church. It's going to happen in any, like if you start a new job,
Yeah.
they're going to start the propaganda.
Yeah.
This is the best
I mean,
job.
there's-
It's the best company to work for.
Yeah.
We live in the best country in the world. The most democratic,
I like where
freeing
this conversation
people.
God.
I mean,
Don't
our,
bring this out of me.
our kids, before they know anything, by the time they're in second or third grade, they know the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
So it starts young, no matter what you do. So religion, I think, has always been kind of like a,
Yeah.
some would say a balancing force,
I've-
some would say a countering force.
Ouch.
I like that. That's a good
Very
point.
good
I don't know,
point.
Duffy, I
Very
dig, I
good
dig what
point.
you just
You know
said,
what?
brother.
I said recently, and you
Very
just
good point.
echoed that perfectly. I recently just said that with the humanistic attitude that's currently at play in most cultures, in most countries, nationalism has replaced any kind of religion, and nationalism has become a religion within itself.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And it's shocking.
Yeah,
It's shocking.
yeah.
Are you saying that is a bad thing? Like nationalism is bad?
I personally think it's a bad thing because it trashes culture, it trashes tradition, it trashes
Morals.
Morals and standards.
morals,
Yeah.
individuality.
Yeah.
Like I work for hospitals, right? And I think capitalism is bad for the hospital. It just doesn't work, right? It's just like capitalism is bad for fire department and policemen. Imagine calling the police and they're like, "What is it? A live shooter?" Well, okay, right? Oh,
right,
petty theft.
exactly.
Okay, $200 for us to come help you. Okay, oh, mass shooter. Okay, that's gonna be $5,000. I think healthcare is the same way.
Yeah.
But people are like, "Oh, this is
agree.
America, capitalism. This is the best country. We got to continue this way." But like from a morality point of view, we got to be helping people, man. We shouldn't be. It sucks because we shouldn't be making cancer. Shouldn't be $1 billion industry.
It should
It's
be.
America.
Right.
It's capitalism. This is the best. Drives me nuts.
Isn't it weird that humanitarian has been replaced with humanist?
Explain. I'm not
Well,
smart enough. Plus, I've had drinks before this.
Because for example, our country has openly declared, right inside of our own court systems, that America is humanist. It's not God-fearing. It's humanist. It's not Christian. It's humanist.
Right.
So the trouble with that is that you are taking the look out of the greater good, okay,
You see what the problem with this humanist?
over the individual person. Yeah, and that's why. So, for example, let's say that Kelvin has an issue, but if Kelvin's issue is superseded by our greater good, us three right here, then we're just not going to look at his problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a challenge with our country right now. I agree.
And that's a problem because let's say that Kelvin has a real issue he needs help with, okay? If we're looking at it from a humanist point of view, it's coming. If we're looking at it from a humanist point of view, then we're no longer helping him, we're helping us. Because the greater good outweighs what he needs.
I'm challenged by that.
Even if Calvin dies, you're saying it's better for the three of us.
It's better for the three of us. So because the three of us can now thrive, his rights didn't matter.
So it's us three left, and then what if George gets sick and George dies?
Now it's the
and
two
it's
of us.
better for the you and me.
Exactly.
And then you die.
That's why I don't like the humanist position.
Okay, gotcha.
May I say something since you spoke on cancer? I don't know if you gentlemen have read this book or read part of it. Good book to read on that is the story of Henrietta Lacks. Very good book.
Please enlighten me. Can you give me a quick back of the book excerpt? On
This is a woman who had cancer, and she died of cancer. Well, they saved her cells to study them, and they found out despite it killed her, the cells started to grow. She died in 1956. Her cells still exist now, and they still use them for science and cancer studies. And I'm quite sure this has required a ton of money, a ton of finances to do what they're doing, and enlightenment on God knows how many levels.
Right.
And they never did it without any permission from the family.
Interesting.
But just to know that this was done, is it something that really can't be cured?
What do you mean, cancer?
Right. I don't want to make this a whole different topic, but I'm just
Yeah, we could go on and on. I could go on and on about
right. So I don't,
No, but talking about the capitalistic mindset.
Yeah, right. See, is it better to cure cancer?
No.
Or is it exactly
From a capitalistic mindset,
Right.
no, it does
Right.
not.
Right.
Sick
100%.
people make money.
Right.
A lot of people make money.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, that's my problem with it because you're talking about capitalism. Well, capitalism is for the greater good, right? At least from
Top 10%.
right. So the trouble with that then again is that I'm looking at it from a different point of view. So our good is better than Kelvin's.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm battling that concept right now in my mind.
No, but that makes sense. If you think about it, that makes sense.
Yeah. But it shouldn't make sense. My point is that shouldn't make
I
sense.
agree. No, I'm in agreement with you, but no, that's an excellent breakdown.
And the church was meant to be a countering force to that.
Exactly. Where every individual was looked at as having the exact same value as the mass.
Especially the Sermon on the Mount, Christ's teachings on the Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah.
It's completely anti-imperialism, anti-capitalism. Some would even say anti-democratic.
Yeah. I mean, you could.
Very
yeah.
good point. Very good point.
But I mean, wouldn't it show that we are truly human if we are taking somebody's intrinsic value as being the equivalent as everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
And every single person has the exact same value as the mass. And at that point, if everybody has the same value, then everybody's going to look out for the intrinsic value of their neighbor.
Yeah, the Good Samaritan.
So, again, that's my problem with the humanist position.
I understand.
Yeah, because it has pharisaical qualities to it. You know, the Pharisees and religious leaders of the time taught we take care of our own, we look after our own. It was a tribal mindset,
Yeah.
and Christ was saying, no, people exist out there. You take care of them too.
Yeah.
We even looking at it from a latter day sense, as far as I got you guys by a few years, but I could remember the days growing up. Now I'm 56. Let a neighbor have to tell my parents about my behavior. I remember the days where the neighbors could, boy, do you want me to tell your parents? You know, let that happen. Oh, and I'd get home, boy, you embarrassing me.
Great.
Yeah.
Times have changed,
Yeah,
man.
down to the basement.
They call the cops if your neighbors did that.
Yeah,
now.
right. But it brought a lot of structure. It brought a lot of structure, and it brought a lot of and it worked twofold. Because see, on one hand you had that, but on the other hand, hey, I hear you graduating high school. Come on over here, boy. I got something for you. You know, it was a two-way street.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, the discipline would be rendered on the same token, but the love and affection would be shown too. It was truly a community, neighborhood of community that looked out for each other. Even the stores down the street where I lived at, you know, you go in there and, hey, your parents told me you graduated or whatever, you know. Yeah. So I remember those days.
Times are changing.
Yeah.
Well, Kelvin, I appreciate your point of view, but it sounds like you're getting a little dry in the palate.
There's been a lot of talk going on. There has been a lot of talk going on. Yeah.
In that case, let's break out the next beer. It's Platform Strange Clothes.
Hold on.
Hold
on. Calvin, can you please deliver that line? Platform Strange Clothes. Your most buttery, sexy voice.
Platform Beer Company. Strange Clothes.
Ooh.
You gotta
Lemon
say,
meringue.
You got to say, can you dig it? Come on.
Can you dig it?
All right. If I wasn't going to buy it before, I'm going to buy it now.
Platform. If you need commercials right now,
I don't know about that part. You got to drink.
This lemon meringue-inspired Berliner Weiss is bright, sour, and refreshing. With a full mouthful and a subtle underlying sweetness, it finishes balanced and pleasing at a 4.9 and an 8 IBU. Gentlemen,
Oh, jeez.
let's crack them open.
Ready. Das is good.
Oh, you did get one for all of us. I thought we were just split up.
Man.
Nope, I can't say
are
that.
the man.
Gumby got one for everybody.
Okay.
Gumby got one. Juice is giving them
Gumby,
out.
you are the
Apparently,
man.
Satan has you in your hand, making you drink us this
I'm a
alcohol.
little nervous about this one.
You nervous about this one? You don't think
It's
it's
part, part of their sour series.
First off, it's,
You know
Wow.
what? You know what? I'm gonna agree with you right now. A sour is a bad follower from that porter. Going porter to sour is a
it usually
Interesting
is. It usually
choice.
is. Now, I will say this. It has a very heavy head. This sucker, I poured mine slow, and it's still a full inch of head right there. It's light. I can look right through it. It's light, so it's definitely a Weiss. Definitely a Weiss. I like that because that usually means good flavors. But hold on, let me see with the nose. Okay, it has a very light nose. I don't actually smell the lemon. Not any lemon yet. Let's see.
And I can smell the meringue.
Yeah, meringue, I can smell that.
Maybe hints of the
Woo! That sucker is tart. Woo-hoo-hoo!
yeah. I don't know. You know what? I started getting into sours a little bit.
Wow.
Isaac.
Yeah.
You have to let them in. Just
That's,
let the sour happen.
Wow.
They might have to breathe for a minute.
I'm fine with it. Actually, I like it.
Actually, yeah, I don't mind it.
I used to hate
So-
sours, and just like all beers, I think, like especially IPAs,
No.
like you force yourself to drink them, then you eventually like them.
See, now this is where I was a year ago because, believe it or not, I don't think Mike and Gumby really enjoyed them about, what was it?
Oh, no.
It was about a year and a half ago?
Yeah, no, I spit the first one out.
Yeah. And I brought them in, and I was like, I kind of liked it. I did.
did.
Right? I kind of liked it. So
Maybe it has to grow on you. That's a new one.
then
for
again,
me.
I also like to suck on warheads, too. So, But I do like a sour. So
Goes good with fish.
And
it does everything.
I like sours. It's weather's starting to warm up. I like it. So
It's definitely nice, especially on a summer evening right by the lake.
I don't taste graham,
I
but
didn't know what graham is.
I mean,
we'll
I could be
we'll
wrong.
believe you, platform.
but-
we believe you.
But George, tell me it's wrong. I could sip this down on, say, Edgewater.
Well, you can now if it's in a cup or if you purchase it there. But yeah, no, I agree. I think sours are good summer beers. You know, a hot day, it can be refreshing.
Yeah.
You know, I think the same could be said. Don't hold me to this. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think porters are, you know, winter. They're a heavier beer.
Okay.
You know,
I
a
can see
good
that.
porter goes good. You know, a heavier beer is good then. You know, but yeah, light sour I think goes
Yeah.
Edgewater Beach, good day.
Yeah.
Solo cup. Don't let them catch you without it, though. Don't let them do it.
Now I'm an old school Edgewater person. I've been going there for over 20 years. In fact, when I was first going there, I lived in Ohio City.
Where I reside now.
What's that?
That's where I reside now.
Right. And I would play chess with the guys down there in Edgewater in the park. Now the park shuts down at dusk, but if you played chess, they would let you stay and play all night long.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well,
And I was
that makes sense, though, because
Yeah.
I'm just saying not to be judgmental on human beings. But I doubt the chess playing community is doing too much crime after dark.
Yeah.
Better watch out. I bet the
I
cops
think
have
you're
said
being
better watch out.
judgmental, George. I think you're being judgmental.
Right, so be a little too judgy. Yeah, I doubt the cops are sitting there like, I don't know what those chess players
Like-
do in Edgewater right now. I think you're up to no good.
they would leave us alone. And there would be
Really?
like 8 to 12 of us, right? And we would just sit there and play chess until like 4 or 5 in the morning.
I wonder why they
And-
leave you alone.
And they would write up and ask us how we're doing and everything. Yeah, we're good. They'd say, okay, have a good night. And they would just let us just play
Really?
chess
I
all
love
night
that.
long.
Are
Yeah.
they still doing that down there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But
be
but
honest, Aaron. You still playing?
I still play chess.
Oh, okay.
Not Edgewater, but I still
Okay.
play chess. But yeah, the Rangers would leave us 100% alone because I mean, what were we doing? We were sitting there playing chess.
How young were you?
Oh, good Lord. That was probably 20 years ago. I was living in Ohio City. I was probably 25 years old or so.
Not shocking.
It was after a breakup, wasn't it?
It was actually probably during. Probably during. And instead of just getting
Tell
out,
us about your divorce.
it wasn't a divorce. It was not a divorce. We weren't
wasn't
married.
divorced.
Oh, okay.
But
Tell us about the most painful breakup of your
oh, it's
life
horrible.
online right now.
Oh, I have no issues with that. I mean, it was bad times. It was bad times, and I drank a lot. But
Brought to you by Bible Over Brews.
you know. But I mean, the good thing is that I wasn't doing illegal drugs or anything. I mean, I could have been shooting heroin somewhere.
Right.
That's a good point. You're playing chess.
Right. I mean,
right.
I had ample opportunity. I knew people who smoked crack and everything else, and instead of doing that,
Sounds like you hung around a good crowd.
that was a great crowd. Yeah. Again, I was living in early Ohio City, so
Yeah.
That's true, I guess. Never mind. You had plenty of friends.
oh yeah.
He got you back for that priest shot.
But I would stay up until 4 and 5 in the morning playing chess, either on the beach with the other chess players, or there was a Phoenix Coffee House that was open 24 hours a
Coffee
day.
house,
Still my favorite.
Oh yeah, I
24 hours a day. Well, this
You're
one
absolutely
was
right.
this one was on 25th,
25th.
and it was open
in
24
Denison,
hours
yeah.
a day.
Yeah,
Moved
you're
it right
absolutely
down
right.
the road. They
Yep.
moved it down to
Yes,
28th.
And,
It's so
I
good.
used to go there a lot of
oh,
crazy
yeah.
hours. Yeah,
You got
playing
good coffee.
chess.
And at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's where I was playing chess.
I bet I'm disagreeing with you. I'm going to say if you were staying up till 5 in the morning playing
I
chess,
worked-
you were probably smoking crack.
I worked second
Because
shift.
how would you fall? You would fall asleep playing chess
No,
till
no,
5 in the morning.
I worked second shift.
Never mind.
You know what? I'm surprised we never crossed paths at that time.
I am surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really am, because oftentimes I get off those crazy hours. I
Right.
stop in there for a game or two. I wouldn't stay long. Game or two, and I'd move out.
Well, especially in our line of work.
Yeah,
we're,
right.
We're both,
I'm surprised.
we were both field guys.
Right, right.
And so you get off of a long on call. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you can't go right to sleep a lot of times. Yeah.
So what do?
Wow.
You go
Go
drink.
play chess.
Yep.
I'll make you fall asleep,
Yeah.
all right? I'll make you tired.
Oh man.
Oh, it was a
Chess
nice
is a-
crowd in there, though. You know,
Okay.
Oh man.
about 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a nice crowd
Packed.
there.
It was
Yeah.
packed. Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I'd like to. I wish I could go back in time and see that. That would be cool.
It was epic. Yeah.
It was like a certain
And that's how
certain crowd in there. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
10 years later, that's how Ohio City hipsters were born.
Touche.
oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised I never seen you there, man.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
But in fact, we've never even talked about that Phoenix Coffee
We
House.
did. That's kind of funny, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. It is.
Because we knew each other during that time.
Yeah.
But yeah. On those nights, I would either go play chess on the beach or at Phoenix, depending on the weather.
I never played at Edgewater. I knew they had it, but I never played there. But Phoenix, I was there somewhere. Right.
Yeah. There's a tunnel that lets out from Ohio City 65th. From 65th, it goes down to the beach. And once you're on the beach, that's when we would walk over to where the chess players were, sit down, and start playing.
Were you aware of the bathhouses down there?
The bathhouses.
They used to have bathhouses down
It's a
there.
bathhouse.
Because before people had indoor plumbing, you went to a bathhouse to take a bath.
I was not aware.
Yeah, so they were built probably about 1905, 1910. They probably tore them down about 1940.
Oh, wow.
They had them there, and they also had them at 72nd. 72nd, they didn't tear them all the way down. Once they changed it over, they added the aquarium onto it. And then the aquarium closed I want to say back in the 80s, so it's, totally done away with it. But yeah, for the locals in that area, if they want to take a bath, that was a bathhouse. They go down there and, take a bath. Or either you can, go swimming and then come back and take a bath.
So 172nd is not open anymore. I feel like I've heard people talk about it. Now it's like a big sauna where you go in there and drink, and there's like all these old guys wearing robes. Kind of like the Catholic Church.
Something about
All right, we have to cover that one.
that was a right left.
I am done.
All right,
Right
so
left.
There's no mic, so I'm just directing.
Scheiße.
Gumby's had my back too many times. I love Calvin's voice too much to.
That was
I don't
a
even want to
stiff
argue with him, so I'm just
jab.
coming at.
So-
and then me and Juice have been friends for too long. I'm just like I can get away with it. I'm just gonna attack Juice as hard as I can.
all
That
right.
was brutal.
So I did run the statistic on it.
Oh, I do have a question for you. Following this, I have a question.
All right, let me answer that one first.
Go ahead.
So I did run the numbers on this. And statistically, again, I could show you the numbers on this. Statistically, the amount of sexual misdirection
Good choice of words.
in the Catholic Church is identical to the school system. And believe it or not, the charismatic church is higher inside sexual misconduct. So take that for what you will. But
What's your take on Catholic priests not being able to marry and having to remain?
okay, so this is a big misnomer. I love tackling this one. Okay, so if you are a Catholic priest, you have a choice. Do you or do you not want to marry? If you do not want to marry, you become a Roman Catholic priest. If
I
you
didn't know that was an option.
If you do want to marry, you become a Byzantine Catholic priest. Byzantine Catholic priests can marry, have children, have a family, everything else. It's your choice. If you choose to decide that you want to be completely devoted to the church, you are Roman Catholic. If you choose,
So there's a higher level of making that choice, though. Still,
well, according to Paul in the Old Testament, the higher level is becoming a straight
Roman Catholic.
Roman Catholic. Well, yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that? Okay, so obviously there's.
I'm okay with it.
All right. Do you think that's leading to? I don't know this. I don't know this, so I'm asking as a legitimate question. Not like oftentimes I I lead with these questions, knowing, right?
Right.
Is it the Roman Catholic priests that are having the issues with the common,
No.
with the sexual misdirection?
No, not at all. Actually, I ran those numbers. The numbers are the same inside both the Byzantine and believe it or not, and the Roman Catholic, and believe it or not, I'm gonna say this, I probably shouldn't, even in the Jewish communities with the rabbis.
Watch it.
And I probably shouldn't say that.
Anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitism.
I'm just running numbers.
Podcast ended.
Okay. I'm just running numbers.
Jeez, why is our podcast ripped off our medium right now?
Caesar.
Again, sexual
God,
That
misconduct.
comment was not kosher.
Sexual misconduct is the same across all religions,
Okay.
across all denominations, and believe it or not, is a little higher in the charismatic churches. The reason why those numbers are harder to get is because if I am, let's say I'm a pastor in the Church of God, okay, somebody makes a claim that I had a sexual misconduct. Well, now I can say, whoa, I'm sorry, I just converted. Now I'm Episcopalian.
Yeah.
There's no way to track that because one church can't track to another church. So there's no way to track what's happening. So once
Really?
yes.
Okay.
So once I started running the numbers and I started cross-referencing, I found out that charismatics are actually higher in sexual misconduct. I mean, once you include both heterosexual misconduct and children, they're actually higher inside sexual misconduct than the Catholic Church. Which is unfortunate, but it's true.
Is that just here in the U.S.?
No, it's worldwide.
Just okay.
Yeah, it's worldwide.
What's your thought about the Catholic Church covering it up?
I am opposed to that. And luckily, thank God, so is our leadership because the Pope has publicly declared that he is against that. And he has already created a Vatican law that states that even if you are trying to cover it up, you will be prosecuted. So he is completely against even somebody who doesn't bring it up.
So to the Catholics' defense in this sense, and this I'm an evangelical, right? Only because I've been lumped there my whole life. Look, I'm not happy about it. I'm gonna be honest. All right, anyways. But to the Catholics' defense, they at least have a designated team wherever they're at that investigates that.
Yeah.
So that's committed to rooting that issue out. That doesn't exist
They can't.
with us.
There's too many denomination separations.
So
it can't.
I'm not saying, because it's still a sad fact that it exists. Yes, it's like it's a hard reality
Yeah.
just to accept. But yes, it does exist in the evangelical Protestant church, in the Orthodox Jewish community.
Yeah. It does.
And actually, within the Orthodox Jewish community, a lot of the people who are at the forefront of bringing that to the light are the women.
Right.
They fight to get their voices heard and bring up when there's misconducts by rabbis. It's tough within the Protestant side to get any traction there.
Yeah.
It exists. It exists all across the board. Like you said, with the school system,
Right.
it exists.
And that's a number, sadly, that nobody cross-references. Because if you look at school systems, the numbers are just as high as anywhere else.
But I think it's just shocking to everybody because, right, you're supposed to be the highest level of morality, right? So I don't even think they care to cross-reference that much. It's to be, I think when people are so shocked by that and they don't cross-reference because they feel like the number should be 0, not in comparison to public school numbers where any, person with a 4-year degree can become a teacher. We're expecting high morality.
I would agree.
Yeah.
agree. And again, thank God, so does our leadership. And that's why they have been so
15 years
stringent.
ago.
So stringent in pushing those things forward. Actually, John Paul II, to his credit, he's the one that first, to my knowledge, and it may be before that, but he's in my lifetime. John Paul II actually took great care trying to weed that out of the church. In fact, the last pope before Francis, Benedict XVI, he really did really hard. He was really, really, really trying to push that out. And to his credit, again, he pushed out a lot of means to do that. Francis, and he's been in since 2013. So Francis has really pushed forward and really tried hard, and to the point where all of the bishops that were over the churches in was it Argentina came forward and resigned because
Really?
Yeah, he issued a letter to all of them, and he was very kind in his letter. Being who he is, he was very, very kind in his letter, but he did let them know this happened under your leadership, and because of that letter, they all stepped forward and resigned. So allowing the new generation to step
It was
forward.
a forced resignation.
Yeah, there has been more
We're
people.
giving you the opportunity
Yes,
to resign and save some face.
because even if, and again, and they said this, they publicly declared, even though we did not do it ourselves, it happened under our eyes. And so,
So at least there's some ownership there.
yeah. And so they stepped forward and they stepped down. There was, I think, 36 bishops stepped down at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
since we're
Gotta
bringing
be
it
a
up,
first, isn't it?
That many,
amount?
yeah. And
Yeah,
that's not
one
the only
time,
ones.
yeah.
He removed several out of here in the United States. He removed several overseas. He has probably been the most, to his credit, again, and a lot of people give, especially, believe it or not, especially in the Catholic Church, a lot of people give Francis crap because he's very progressive. He's a very progressive pope. But to his credit, more changes have been made than in a very long time. So,
right, more changes than happen in Washington. Let's not pretend that stuff doesn't happen like that there.
oh my God.
Right.
All right, they have legislative immunity when before too much of the public knows. But when too much of the public knows, like what's the one guy from New York? I think it was Anthony Weiner.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
I think it is Wiener, though.
Senator. Wiener.
No, I think it is, right? I don't think it is
I was
Wiener.
trying
I
to
think
be
it is
nice.
Wiener.
I was trying to be nice, George.
Gumby
No,
was-
I know, but I keep
Gumby was so
waiting.
nice.
I'm like, how is no one delivering this as a joke? And I think it's because it literally is his name. It's too easy.
I know. I always thought the same thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, the puns are endless with that one. But
I know, right? Like, it's too easy. Is this like what's going on? But I think it really is. Like, the joke's just that easy that no one
It
goes
really
there.
is. It really is.
Yeah,
My
like,
wife and I probably laughed about that for a half hour with different puns.
yeah.
We're like,
he was I know, right? He literally was sending wiener pics. And his last name's Wiener. The joke is so easy. Like, state comedians couldn't even go there because it was so.
can't.
Right.
can't.
Yeah, right.
Do you serve that with? Do you serve that on rye?
Right. Hey, this is my younger brother. Look.
Was Oscar present?
Oh, jeez. Is that live?
Yeah.
PG-13.
No, you're right though. I mean, it's again, statistically, this stuff
Yeah.
is consistent across the board. So
I hate men.
people.
I hate men so much.
Anyway,
I get it.
it's,
I get it.
Yeah,
But
it's consistent across the board.
I think our anger towards that, though, towards the Catholic Church, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's
Right.
definitely legitimate to
It
feel
is. It
anger there
totally is.
because it does happen.
Yeah.
The question I always have about that is, it always seems like the Catholic Church seems to be the scapegoat for all of the church.
Yeah.
In terms of that,
Interesting. Yeah.
and
Like, it's happened in other places, and it's kind of
They
under the
lump
radar.
everybody in one
Catholicism.
group. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
well, I mean, they're the ones that are always in the news about it, as if it doesn't exist anywhere else.
Exactly. Nobody
You
wants to
know.
talk about the charismatic or the evangelical or the Jewish communities or like you said, Washington.
Right.
Yeah, I even Googled it in the Hindu communities and Buddhist communities. Guess what? It's consistent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's no matter where you go, the numbers are consistent.
Anywho.
That was a tough one, George.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, let's just go. Let's get off that
All right.
topic. Let's
So
go.
I heard,
Anyway,
I heard you have questions.
yeah. So I know, right? Like, well, at least like I could save these questions for another day. Now that we should have known it. Like you being joining the Catholic Church officially would have
But
dominated
the whole
show
episode,
today,
right?
yeah. So, is there anything you don't agree with the Catholic Church? And that's going to lead me up to my follow-up question.
God, I wish there was.
Oh, come on.
I
not
have
one
searched so hard for things I disagree with, and every single time I find something I disagree with, I look it up, and I agree with the answer. It's so hard for me because there's things, just me as a person. I'm an apologist, all right? I like to make sure that things are exactly as precise as I can make them, cut and dry, black and white. And every time I think I have a really good argument against something, I find out that it's not right. And I mean, historically and contextually, it just doesn't stand against the arguments. So right now, I can honestly say there's not a single argument I have posed to the historic body of the Catholic Church.
Is the entire Old Testament allegory then?
No.
No?
No, I don't know. Like Kings and Chronicles, they're records of the kings.
All right, so what about some of the crazy stuff they say in like Leviticus and stuff like that?
Well, Leviticus is oh my God, I hate Leviticus. I mean, I love Leviticus and I hate Leviticus. Leviticus is a very interesting book. If you want to get really in depth, go to Dr. Heiser's podcast, the Naked Bible Podcast, and he handles it chapter by chapter by chapter, and he does a brilliant job of it because there's a ton of stuff in there that I didn't realize was in there. And it's only by knowing the Semitic content that you get there. So,
Noah's Ark
is in those 11 chapters.
In Leviticus? Wait.
It's not in Leviticus.
Wait.
No, it's in Genesis.
Oh, thank God. Okay. All right, I was confused for a second.
No,
All right.
and again, and that's a brilliant one to bring up because,
It's a story that people believe in.
well, again, there is, the only way I can say there is some historic.
There's zero historic.
No, hold on. There's
zero historic value to Noah's Ark.
Hold on.
Where's that place in Kentucky or Tennessee where they build an authentic ark?
We're not going to talk about that.
John Hamm.
Individual.
Juice.
God,
Not John Hamm. It's some other Hamm.
No, it is Hamp. It's Ken Hamp.
Ken Hamm. Yeah, John Hamm's a really good actor.
Okay, we won't get on that.
He is among my list of Christians I care not to talk about because I publicly don't want to say things.
Okay.
Why not? Say him.
Come
Come on, Juice.
Hey,
Let's see if he wants to do our podcast.
Do you want to say anything about Mr. Ken Ham?
He's a turd. I watched his debate with Bill Nye, and it's like anytime Bill Nye tried to bring up science and talk about how things were unable to explain them, and then he'd be like, well, there's a book that explains it. It's like, no, science doesn't explain how this happens. Yeah. Quit it. And it's such garbage. Anyone that believes in Noah's Ark
Okay,
is so dumb. Sorry, Calvin, do you believe in
Now-
Noah's Ark is real?
let me
I love you. very much.
let me before Kelvin answers that. Before Kelvin
I already
answers
feel
that.
bad. Do you
Wait,
believe
wait,
it?
Before-
Yes or no?
Wait, hold on. Before Kelvin answers that, let me say
Because I'm going to ease up
That
because I love Calvin.
cross-culturally,
Mike's here. I'm bringing the heat.
there is a possibility of there being
No.
a Noah figure in history. And here's why.
Okay.
Because if you look in the Akkadian and Ugaritic and Sumerian texts, there are references to the exact same type of individual. They're all people who lived in the Mesopotamian basin. Okay.
I don't care
Now,
about the story
The
because
Sumerians.
Noah could exist. That's fine. I'm talking about the flood.
The Sumerians have a very similar story, almost identical to that of Noah's Ark. Now, that being said,
Noah's Ark never happened.
wait. That being said, if you take the Genesis account in context, the world was only 70 nations inside of Mesopotamia. That means a localized flood that happened in one valley. One valley. Now, is that
I'm
possible?
going from John Hamm's argument.
Is that possible? Yes. How do we know that? Because there have been localized floods throughout the history of mankind. So, there could easily have been a localized flood in the Mesopotamian basin.
I have a statement I'd like to make on that.
Go ahead.
Make follow-up episode.
Now, I have 3 dogs.
Okay.
You've seen my dogs.
Great dogs.
But size-wise, the smallest one is probably
I was going to say they're huge.
112 pounds.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, when you consider that, how in the world am I going to pack in a boat, ark, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
with all these different animals and feed them?
It's impossible. For how many years?
Feed them.
Supposedly 40 days.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen.
It's
Somebody
possible.
is going to
It's
go a little
But-
hungry
but-
and gobble up somebody else.
Yeah.
Again, if we take this from a localized viewpoint, you're not talking about many species.
Okay.
All right.
But
Especially
we're talking about Ken Ham. He
especially-
thinks it's the whole world.
we're not talking about Ken Ham.
That's what we were just talking about. That's the
God,
segue we're making.
Why are
You're
you
trying
going to
to
make me talk about him?
And one, it never happened. Okay, can we? Even
That
with
is where we
Israel, it's the
started,
most listen, if we hate Hitler, then we hate God. Because God drowned everybody. You're saying that, listen, even if that was localized, he's killing babies, he's killing children, he's killing everybody, Juice. He's killing them all.
Wait. Again.
Horrible.
We're talking about a folk tale, okay?
No, you're just trying to say, well, it might be real because it might just be the flooding of 70 nations, not the whole entire planet, because that'd be crazy. So I'm going to try to say there might be a
But
chance.
it's still
There was a person-
but it's still a folk
Doesn't
tale.
use that voice.
It's still a folk
That's how
tale.
Juice sounds when
When nobody's present, I like to go like this.
Oh, man.
you were just trying to make, you're saying it's.
I'm
Maybe you're not
saying-
believing it, but you're
I'm
saying it might be
it's-
possible.
no,
There's
no,
a flood of
hold
70
on, hold on,
nations.
hold on. I'm
That's a
saying
tough one.
it's a polemic. All right, a polemic does not mean that it is a literal story that was caused by a god. It means that you are applying your own
Who
theology
told them to
to
build
the
a boat?
story.
Who told them to build a boat?
Again, was there even a Noah? It's possible,
Okay, I'm sure.
but it's a polemic.
Join us for the rest of the conversation in part 2.